Hello everyone, my name is Sanya and I'm a member of IELTS Mentor team. In this video, I will teach you how to write IELTS Writing Task 1 Academic, that is MAPS. So in this class, you will learn how to structure and organize your writing task 1. I will also teach you useful vocabulary and phrases that are needed to describe changes in locations, grammatical structures such as what tense to use and why the passive voice is important in this type of report. And you will get a model answer band 9. I'm absolutely sure that after this video you will be 100% ready to write your own high band score report. So let's start. Maps occasionally show up in your IELTS Academic Writing Task 1, and when they do, you will see 2 or 3 maps. Sometimes you can see 1 map, but that is very rare. The maps will be of the same location, but at different times. Usually, 1 map is in the past, while the other is in the present. However, it is possible that you will get both maps in the past. You might also get maps which show proposals for the future, such as a redevelopment scheme. Therefore, it is important to use the proper tenses to describe these changes. IELTS map questions are the easiest to answer as far as I'm concerned, because there are no numbers to analyze, no data to interpret. You just need to describe the changes, and that's it. Structure of your report is very important, and if you saw my class about line graphs, you will see that IELTS Writing Task 1 has the same structure for all reports: bar graphs, pie charts, tables, process, maps, diagrams. It's pretty much the same. So the structure, we're talking about structure now. And here on the left hand of your screen, you will see that there are 4 paragraphs. Introduction, and here you need to paraphrase the title without copy-pasting it. You need to answer a few questions such as what, where, and when. We'll discuss it in details further later. The second body paragraph is overview. Overview is extremely important part of your report because you will lose marks if you don't include it in your report. And here you just need to describe main trends, main changes. Then we go into details and we describe and discuss details. And we have body paragraph A and body paragraph B. There are 5 steps to writing a high-scoring IELTS map report. First, you need to analyze the question. Then you need to analyze the maps and identify the main features. Then you need to write an introduction. Then you need to write an overview and write the details, body paragraph A and body paragraph B. So let's take a look at the map on your screens. The maps below show changes that took place in the coastal town of Somerville between 1980 and 2005. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. You have 20 minutes for this task. Write at least 150 words. Our first step is to analyze the question, and the question is very straightforward and very clear. We need to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. What we need to do is to ask ourselves a few questions. What time periods are shown? Clearly, the 2 maps in our Practice IELTS map question show the town of Somerville at 2 different times in the past. This is very important because it immediately tells us that we will need to use the past tense in our report. Another question to ask is, what are the main differences between the maps? When I say differences, we need to ask ourselves, are there any features that disappeared over the period of time? Are there any features that remain the same at the same place? Although the location on the maps will have undergone major development, some features may remain unchanged, and you need to state that. Now, I want you to pause the video and try to analyze the maps you see on your screens by using these strategies. I hope that you analyze the question and that you saw the differences between these two maps. Let's start writing our report. We'll start with the introduction. And here you need to paraphrase the question and answer the following questions: what, where, and when. It is very important that you do not copy the title because you will lose marks. You need to paraphrase. And what I mean by paraphrasing is you need to say the same thing in a different way. So you need to find synonyms. So let's take a look at our introductory sentence. The maps illustrate the developments that occurred in the coastal town of Somerville over a period of 25 years from 1980 to 2005. What I did here, I paraphrased the title. Instead of the maps below show changes, I said the maps illustrate the developments. Instead of took place, I wrote occurred in the coastal town of Somerville. This is something you can't change because it is the name of that city. Over a period of 25 years, from 1980 to 2005. So instead of between 1980 and 2005, it is okay to write from to. So this is how we paraphrase the title. And this is pretty much it. This is enough for our introductory sentence. So one more time, you need to answer the questions: what the graph is about, that is, what the maps are about, where, and when. You need to state to give the time frame. Introductory sentence is the easiest part of our report, and it will not take a lot of time. Our second body paragraph is an overview. Overview is very important, and you must include it for a high band score. You will lose marks if you don't. Here you should describe the general changes that took place. The details will be discussed in the body. So here you just need to state what the general, to describe the general changes. A lot of my students ask me whether they should put overview at the end of the report or after the introduction. It does not matter. It's okay. For me, it's more logical to put it after the introductory sentence, but it's okay if you put it at the end of your report. The most striking feature that can be seen at the first glance when you're looking at the maps is that there was a change, a huge change over the given period, because we can see that this town was a small rural town in 1980, and then in 2005 it became a largely urban area. So this would be a perfect overview. Take a look at our overview. Overall, a comparison of the two maps reveals a considerable change over the given period from a small rural town to a largely urban area. And this is enough. In body paragraphs of our report, we need to provide details and give more information about the maps. Let's take a look at our model answer. In 1980, the town was a much greener residential area with a large number of trees and individual houses, but during the next 25 years, the town experienced a number of dramatic changes. The most noticeable is that all of the trees south of the river Alana were cut down, with all the houses along the railway line being knocked down and replaced by skyscrapers. Moreover, a new industrial estate with factories and warehouses sprang up around the airport and school. Only a few trees north of the river remained. Another major change was that the woodland was cleared to make way for a park. a golf course, and car parking facilities. Further developments were the construction of the stadium near the northeast corner of the lake and a new stretch of railway from the river running directly north. A marina was also built at the mouth of the river. Probably the most important task is to learn useful vocabulary and how to describe locations. You will need to describe where things are on the map, as well as the changes that they went through. One of the best ways to describe locations would be to use the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. Most of the time, they're provided on the map. If they're not provided on the map, just remember north is up and east is on the right. Let's take a look at a few examples. The woodland to the north of the river was completely cut down. A library was constructed to the northeast of the railway. The block of houses in the southwest of the town were demolished to make space for the new parking lot. The stadium in the center of the city was relocated to the northeast of the river. The school to the southeast was knocked down and a new one was built to the north of the river. In this task, you need to use specific vocabulary to describe locations and changes. And this is key vocabulary to describe change. For example, enlarge, expand, make bigger, develop, extend. To remove something, you can use demolish, knock down, remove, pull down, cut down trees or chop down, clear. Adding something, you can use build, erect, introduce, construct, add, plant, open up, set up. When you change something into something, you can use convert, redevelop, modernize, replace, relocate, make into, renovate. Here we will learn some useful vocabulary to describe buildings and changes. Demolished. For example, the industrial estate was demolished and developed into a sports ground. Knocked down. The houses were knocked down and replaced with a skyscraper. Flattened. The factory in the city center was flattened and relocated to the north of the city. Replaced with. The old warehouses were replaced with new hotels. Renovated. The old buildings were completely renovated. Built. A new factory was built north of the residential area. A harbor was constructed at the edge of the river. Developed into. The industrial estate was demolished and developed into a sports ground. Extended. The school was extended by adding 2 more buildings. Expanded. The residential area expanded southeast by constructing 3 more homes. Relocated to. The factory in the city center was flattened and relocated to the north of the city. Converted into. The factory was converted into apartments. Modernized. The infrastructure was modernized by converting the dirt roads into concrete streets. Let's learn what other vocabulary we can use when describing trees and forests, roads, bridges, railways, etc. Cleared. The trees were cleared to make way for a new residential area. Cut down. The forest was cut down and made space for a shopping center. Chopped down. The forest was entirely chopped down to make way for a new highway. Removed. Some of the trees were removed to build a new playground. Planted. A new forest was planted west of the factory. Roads, bridges, railway lines. Constructed. A new railroad was constructed next to the village. Built. A new bridge was built to replace the old one. Extended. The main road was extended and a new bridge built over the river. Expanded to. The main road was expanded to the north to connect to the other town. Removed. The railway lines were removed and replaced by a metro line. Leisure facilities. Opened. A brand new sports center opened just north of the school. Set up. A brand new skate park was set up close to the swimming pool. Developed. A playground was developed next to the school. This vocabulary can be used as your cheat sheets to achieve a high band score. It's absolutely okay if you memorize and learn these sentences and structures, because they will be useful when writing your IELTS writing task 1 if you get maps. Now that you have acquired useful vocabulary and phrases for writing your maps, another important thing is grammatical structures, tenses, and the passive voice. Obviously, if your maps are in the past, you will use the past simple tense. Sometimes you can use the past perfect. If you get maps in the past and present, you can use the past and the present tense, as well as the present perfect. If you get maps in the future, you will use future tenses. If you get 3 maps, one in the past, one in the present, one in the future, you will have to use present, past, and future. The maps that you see on your screens right now are in the past and in the present. Therefore, you will probably use both the present and the past. For example, take a look at this sentence. New roads have been built. This is present perfect passive voice. One of the reasons why we use passive is because we don't care who doer of the action is. We don't know who the doer of the action is. So we want to emphasize that new roads have been built. We don't care who. If you're aiming for a high score band, you must practice. Writing is a skill that can be learned and that can be acquired. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. Of course, there are some guidelines for a high score band. So each time you practice and when you're done with your report, you should ask yourself the following questions. Does the report have a suitable structure? Intro, overview, body. Does the report use suitable grammar and appropriate range of vocabulary? Does the report meet the word limit requirement? Mind you, you're supposed to write minimum 150 words, but if you're aiming at, let's say, 7+, you need to write around 180 words. What you see here now on your screens is your homework. So the maps below show changes that took place in the coastal town of Duluth between 1930 and 2010. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. I want you to use all the information that you learned in this class and write your report. I hope this class was useful. I wish you good luck with your exam preparation. Final tip would be practice and study hard, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.